Welcome to Trackside. Hello, I'm Grant Denyer and I have the privilege of sitting in one of these sensational Porsche GT3s. Just one of the high-octane categories you'll see on the show today. As well as round 3 of the Australian Porsche Cup Championship from Winton, we also have the world's most glamorous cars on the grid. The Nations Cup coming to you from Wakefield Park in Holden, plus the pure test of road car performance in GT production, starring the brand new Mustang Cobra, driven by V8 supercar driver John Bowe. Plus, we go to Darwin's Hidden Valley for Australia's fastest cars, Formula Holden. So sit back while we bring it right in your lounge room on Trackside.
The Wakefield Park layout, 10 turns, 2.2 kilometres in length. It's nestled just outside Goulburn, and it's pretty cold here today as well as we get set for Nations Cup action. It'll be interesting to see how these high horsepower cars go on this tight and tricky circuit. Dominic Beninka carrying one of our 2 Trackside onboard cameras, Craig Denyer.
Yes, and Mark Treadwith and the Jaguar, the first appearance of the supercharged car also this weekend here at Wakefield Park. Noski on pole, Stokel alongside, then Richards, Beninka, Shearman, Tony Quinn, Peter Fitzgerald, Sam Newman qualified in the top 10 as well.
Keep in mind, too, qualifying was held in wet and greasy conditions this morning. Although it's cold here at the circuit, it is dry. So we jump back aboard with Dom Beninka. It's a rolling start for this one. All in readiness for Nations Cup action. A couple of weeks ago, they were on the streets of Adelaide. Now, the tight circuit at Wakefield Park. Noski on pole in the Budweiser Ferrari. And the Lamborghini SVR in the hands of Paul Stokel, 3-time Australian Gold Star champion. They charge away, and it's Noski who settles into the lead.
Yes, this is the second round of the MegaMadness.com Nations Cup Series. Noski was the pole man, 107.9 in qualifying. There's the Jaguar at the back of the field. First run this weekend for it, so it's still got quite a bit more development to come. Cameron
McConville joins us in the commentary box, and Cam, the Lamborghini seems to be handling things okay, even though it's only the opening lap on cold tyres. The bigger car is going quite well.
Well, I think it may struggle here, Rusty. We've seen that the Lamborghini's been the pace car in the championship, but this circuit well suited to the Porsches and also the Ferrari, so we'll have to wait and see if the Lambo has the pace this weekend.
On board with Dominic Beninka, up ahead of him, reigning champion Jimmy Richards, fresh from his victory. The 5th victory, in fact, at Targa, Tasmania. And he's got his own problems, Beninka, because Peter Fitzgerald is really applying the thumbscrews.
Yeah, good to see the TNT team give Dominic Beninka another chance at a championship. Stokel, though, was slow in qualifying. When I say slow, he had rubber problems in qualifying. Track was greasy, and he used old wet weather tyres from Bathurst last year. That did handicap him a little bit. So Noski got pole, but I would expect that on terms of track speed today, Stokel should be quicker.
TNT Porsche hard under brakes into turn 1. And this is interesting, Cam, because he's having to fend off Peter Fitzgerald. Here's what's happening up in front. Stokel looking for a way to try and get past Noski.
Yeah, not quite close enough there. The best overtaking opportunity here is under brakes, down into this left-hander, and obviously at the end of the front straight as well. But the Porsche should really come through here because brakes does take a big chunk out of your lap times. And interesting to see Peter Fitzgerald a fair way back in qualifying, so we'll have to watch it and see if he can come through as well.
Yeah, Fitzy also struggled for quick qualifying times. Jimmy Richards doing quite well in the Porsche, finished second to Stokel in the first round of the championship. Stokel has a look down the outside, can't quite do it there. Noski moves over, couples the line beautifully.
Big weekend for the Prancing Horse outfit. The debut of John Bowe's Ford Mustang, and they're running several Ferraris, but look at this run by Paul Stokel. Gee, he was like a slingshot out of that top turn, dived right down the inside of him.
He got the over and under trick there, Rusty, onto the front straight. A lot of power on this Lamborghini, and Mark Noski was a little cheeky there. He went to shut the door, but he couldn't really do it. The Lamborghini was already alongside the B pillar, and he's through, and we'll have to see if he can just stretch the legs down the front straight and get away from the Ferrari now.
So Jimmy Richards, the reigning champ. Stokel currently leading the championship after the first round at Adelaide. Noski in between was actually leading the Adelaide race until he had engine failure, so he's pretty desperate to grab a bag for the points this weekend.
Back aboard with Dominic Beninka. Tom doesn't mind plenty of attitude in this car, Cam.
You can hear a lot of tyre squeal there too, so I'm not sure whether that car's struggling for grip mid-corner. It seemed to be moving around a little bit, and can Fitzy? No, not quite close enough to go down the inside, but that's certainly one of the opportunities to get past around this Wakefield circuit.
Well, Dominic Beninka running Michelin tyres, Peter Fitzgerald backed by Spencer Grammer, the team at Falcon tyres for many, many years. So that, I suppose, Cam, could be the answer to that question around here.
Yeah, maybe the Michelin tyre is a lot harder than it usually is. It's generally a soft tyre, but it just sounded by the noise inside the car that he may be struggling for a little bit of grip at the moment.
What a quick shot in the background behind these two guys who are battling away of Tony Quinn in the VIP Pet Foods Porsche. He did very well at Target Tasmania recently. Look at Fitzgerald here, trying to line up a run on Dominic Beninka. Very different lines between these two.
Yeah, Peter Fitzgerald looking for the inside running up here, but it's pretty much single file. It can be quite frustrating to try and get away through on this circuit, but he needs to think about where the overtaking opportunities are and make sure he gets a good run out of the corner before that, and not quite close enough to have a run down here, I would think.
Riding now with Mark Treadworth again in the Super Cheap Bags Jaguar XK8 supercharged car. V8 running about 1 bar of boost. It's also carrying probably about 200 kilograms more in weight than its true racing weight. So again, quite a bit more development to come from this car.
It's a bit like a mirage, Craig, isn't it? Because we've been waiting for it to arrive for so long, and it's great to have it finally here. So lots more development work to come from this car as Mark settles into it.
And was built in Mark's garages. Mark himself has had a long time history with Jaguar. Had a very famous Australian Jaguar sports sedan, which was originally built by John McCormack many, many years ago, which I believe he still owns, but is so excited about this project. And Bob Thorne, the MD of Super Cheap, will take over the drive of this car at Canberra.
Stuart Gagg in 8th position, just in behind him Sam Newman in 9th. So Sam's doing a great job at the moment in the Ferrari. Big weekend for the Prancing Horse outfit we were mentioning before. Stack of personnel on hand to cater for all the different cars in the different categories that they're looking after, Craig.
Yeah, it's a very, very busy weekend, particularly looking after a team of Ferraris, plus the debut of the brand new Ford Mustang in the hands of John Bowe. Also should mention the great qualifying effort from Scott Shearman. He qualified 5th fastest in the Prancing Horse Ferrari 360 Challenge, and he's currently running just behind Tony Quinn on the road as well.
Cam, you've raced one of these Ferraris. For the folks at home, you might like to let them know what they're like to drive.
Well, they're actually a very, very enjoyable car to drive, but on a high-speed corner, they're quite tricky. As you can see, they don't have any rear wings or any aerodynamics as such. It's all an under tray, so you have to try and stay off the curves, be very precise, but sequential gearbox, they are a lot of fun to drive.
So last lap now for Paul Stokel, our race leader in the Wilkinson Sword. Lamborghini Diablo SVR chasing down the Black Stallion driver, Sam Newman. Fairly appropriate sponsor for Sam, I would have thought.
He's done a terrific job, Paul Stokel, and has pulled clear of Mark Noske as we've been watching some of the other battles around this Wakefield Park circuit. But a sensational start to the weekend for the Lamborghini team. Paul Stokel will bring it home, the 3-time Australian Gold Star champion. Valuable points in the bag in Nations Cup, the Megamandus.com Championship, and in behind him, Mark Noske, well done for second.
And Jimmy Richards coming onto the straight now to take third outright, the reigning champion, of course, in this Nations Cup category in the OAM's Porsche GT3, coming down now to take the checkered flag. Fitzgerald and Beninka, the battle's still not over. In fact, it's going to go right to the wire, and great performance from Dominic Beninka to hold out Peter Fitzgerald.
Great effort, a race-long battle, but Dom came out on top just ahead of Fitzy on the line.
So, race 1 in the Megamandus.com Nations Cup Championship here at Wakefield Park. Paul Stokel, the winner, from Mark Noske. Richards third, then Beninka, Fitzgerald. Good performance from Tony Quinn, Scott Shearman, and Mahir Al-Gadri into the top 10 too. Stuart Gagg, Sammy Newman, Mike Downard, Mark Treadworth and John Tulin running out the rest of the field.
Paul, a terrific result, and I tell you, you had to fight hard to begin with, didn't you?
My word, off the line it was very dicey. I mean, it's very hard in a rolling start to ever get the jump, because if you get in front by the line, it's it's a bit of an edgy rule. So I was happy to sort of get past him fairly early before his tyres really got up to full speed, and from that moment on just pressed on, and the car was behaving beautifully.
We're only just getting started right here on Trackside. Coming up, more Nations Cup and action from Formula Holden as well. Stay with us. This championship that they've been here at the top end, Hidden Valley, hot conditions today too, for the latest round of the championship. Here's the circuit, 2.9 k's in length and characterised by that 1.1 kilometre main straight. Let's go Trackside. Grant Denyer is with Rick Kelly.
Right, Rick, 3/100ths of a second behind Simon, but it did come at the cost of a spin in qualifying, trying to chase him.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of a moment there. I just went a little bit too deep and certainly found the limits of the car.
certainly was a spectacular spin. Now, can you chase Simon, and can you catch him and be quicker than him in these 2 races that we have ahead?
I'd like to think so. I mean, he's very quick out there and very precise, so it's just a matter of me perfecting my driving style and getting right up there and beating him.
Jump aboard with Rick Kelly. In fact, he will start from grid position 2 in this one. To give you an idea, a V8 supercar laps this circuit in around about 1 minute and 9 seconds. So you can expect the outright lap record of the Hidden Valley track to be broken today. Simon Wills on pole alongside Kelly. And this will be the last time that we see Simon Wills behind the wheel of a Formula Holden. Once again, teaming up with Barana Engineering after that mixed result at the last round of the championship in Adelaide. What can Kelly do? Warm conditions here today too. Stuart McCall had some dramas at a recent test. Crashed, in fact, at Calder Park. He's expected to be quick in the NRC, Holden. Away we go. Good start by Simon Wills. Kelly trying to stay in touch with him as they fly down this main straight. Alan Gurr has blasted off the line brilliantly as well in the telecell entry, but it'll be Simon Wills who will lead Rick Kelly into turn 1 for the first time. Welcome Cameron McConville to the commentary box for this one. And Cam, these hot conditions could be interesting for the Formula Holdens in their first outing at the top end.
And it will too, Greg. It's a very, very fast track here in these cars. They look absolutely fantastic. A small but quality field. Oh, a bit of a brake lock up back in the pack there. It'll be interesting to see just how Alan Gurr goes too, because no one has any data at this track. He's new to the championship and he wants to try and get on the podium this weekend.
That big mover through the field is Christian Murchison in the Hocking Motorsport entry, the Reynard 97D. He's gotten his way around Chris Clearahan and Emerson Newton-John up ahead of him. Newton-John's teammate, Stuart McCall, and our race leader, Simon Wills, and he's just ahead of Rick Kelly. Now, this is where they swing onto the front straight. Simon Wills is already there, and you see some incredible speeds here, Cam, in excess of 260k an hour.
Very, very fast down this front straight. They only come onto the straight fairly slow, but over a kilometre of straight there. Very deep under brakes. It's quite bumpy here for these Formula Holden cars, but this is an exciting track to drive on, so I can only imagine in one of these Formula Holdens. Let's go on board. A little bit of oversteer there. On board with Rick Kelly. Up through the sequential gearbox. Full throttle through the quick right-left here, then hard on the brakes. Probably drop back to second gear into this right-hander, just avoiding the curb on the way out there. Very tight as far as road on the way out of the corner, but it's great to see Holden and HSV giving Rick Kelly a go. He's a very, very talented young driver.
Yeah, he certainly is. And having Simon Wills return to this category as well has been good for Rick Kelly. It's been a bit of a yardstick for him to work against.
It has, and I'd like to see Simon Wills stay on, actually, because that will only improve Rick Kelly's speed, even though there is no question over his ability. You can see very smooth onto the front straight there. Be just lifting slightly on those gear changes, won't be using the clutch though, just pulling them through. Top gear now, you can see his head bobbing around in the wind there, so some 250 to 260 kilometres an hour at the end of this front straight.
You can see the way that Christian Murchison's head is moving around there. It's getting a bit of a buffeting. It could also be that he's not happy with the car and the fact that he had to storm through from the rear of the grid. Here comes Emerson Newton-John having a look down the inside of Conter Paris, who is in the second of the Hocking Motorsport entries. Con from Golden in New South Wales was meant to drive in one of the Konica Series rounds very recently, and he's just been passed by Emerson Newton-John now. He's had a mixed season so far, very strong performance at Phillip Island, but a tough run and a heavy crash on the streets of Adelaide.
Well, that would have probably set him back a little bit too, Rusty, because these cars are very, very fast. He hit the wall very quick too. Let's just have a look on replay here. Whoa, big oversteer slide from Mark Ellis there, so just trying to get the power down to maybe get a run on there, but he continues on, didn't lose too much ground. But Simon, oh look, Alan Gurr coming into the pits. I'm not sure if this is some sort of mechanical problem or a penalty, but that's really disappointing. Alan was desperate to get on the podium and get some points.
Yeah, that's a tough break for the 19-year-old from New South Wales in the telecell entry. From Ralt, Australia, we jump aboard with the Holden Young Lion. 18-year-old Rick Kelly missed out on winning the Formula Ford Championship last year by just 1 point. Let's have a listen.
Well, there you go, down the front straight at Hidden Valley there. The car's very, very well balanced under brakes, just getting under a lap car, and he's definitely closing the gap to Simon Wills, and still plenty of laps to do it.
All right, let's go to Grant. He's with Alan Gurr.
Well, Alan Gurr hitting the Valley's dealt you a cruel blow. What's pulled you out of the race?
About lap 4 or 5 into it, and the gearbox just started to stick, and I couldn't pull the gears. It'd stick neutral and then hold a gear. It's just like lost all pressure, and I don't know what it is. And then round the back, it just locked up totally, and it's just stuck in neutral.
Going well until then.
Yeah, well, I guess these things happen, but it's unfortunate, and hopefully get it fixed and get back for race 2, but it is disappointing.
Christian Murchison has moved himself up into 4th position, doing a terrific job. He's gone around. Christian Murchison, just as we spoke, has gone around. He's kept the car alive. He hasn't stalled it, but that's cost him a stack of time.
Yeah, it looked like he may have just got on the power a little bit too early, coming out of the corner just as we were commentating on how well he was going. And I'd say those rear tyres might be a little warm now, a couple of 360s there.
These cars all run on the Yokohama Control tyre, and they'll be getting a tough workout today in the hot conditions at Hidden Valley.
Well, I just wonder whether there was a fair bit of puff of smoke coming out of the back of that car, out of the exhaust. Now, I'm not sure whether he may have wrong slotted a gear or perhaps gone one too many gears on the downshift, because it seemed to have locked the rears and around it went, but he'll resume the battle.
Back aboard with Rick Kelly.
Well, for the viewers at home, I can't tell you how quick these cars are around here. A bit of a puff of smoke, so the inside front brake locking up. Rick Kelly is really on a charge here. One more gear through the quick right-hander.
That area of the track that he just came through was the Valley. Oh, and he's gone off big time. Rick Kelly has gone off. Well, that is a shame. He was doing very well, the Holden young lion, out after Simon Wills. Now, just judging by the lap times here, he may still be in 2nd position. I think he's lost a lot of time, but I don't think that Stuart McCall is close enough to have wrestled 2nd position away from Rick Kelly, but there is a massive gap now between Kelly and our race leader, Simon Wills, who's setting a staggering pace, incidentally, got down to the 1:03s in this race. Look at the way the Kiwi is moving around inside that cockpit.
I was just about to comment, too, that on that in-car shot, he was going through that right-hander completely full throttle. He didn't lift at all. I think just had a slight bit of understeer mid-corner. Let's have a look. Just tended to run wide. You can see the car didn't go sideways, so it lost grip at the front. Just pushed or understeered wide, ran off the road, and very fortunate that guardrail's a fair way back off the racing line there, and he was able to resume, and will have to settle for 2nd in this one.
Well, he is our championship leader at the moment, so 2nd position will be more valuable points in the bank for him. There's 3rd, Stuart McCall for the NRC team. He did a great job on the streets of Adelaide, but this man makes a return to the Formula Holden ranks with devastating fashion once again. Did it in the 2nd race in Adelaide and takes out the 1st here at Hidden Valley. Simon Wills, the dual Australian Gold Star champion, does it, and Rick Kelly in the background there, you can see him in the 2nd of the cars run out of the Barana team. The Holden Young Lions entry gets home in 2nd position. Stuart McCall at this stage on course to finish in 3rd. There he is. He's gotten around Clearahan, who would be a lap down now as a result of that. But Stuart McCall, fantastic performance. Another guy making the step up this season from Formula 4 to a Wings and Slicks car. And a good performance on debut here in Hidden Valley. Keep in mind, these guys, most of them have never been to this track before, let alone drive around it. Emerson Newton-John finishes in 4th position, so the Californian will be very happy with that as well. But there's Simon Wills, your race winner. We'll check him out for you. Rick Kelly, 8 seconds adrift, so that spin that we saw, well, that off cost him a lot of time. Stuart McCall from teammate Newton-John. Then it's the Hockey Motorsport entries. Murchison ahead of Contaparis, and Mark Ellis finishing 8th.
All right, Simon, despite the closest of the qualifying times, you kept a reasonably clean pair of heels in that race.
Yeah, I had a few problems in qualifying, as I said earlier, and we just sort of got it together this morning in the warm-up, and I think we got a pretty good race package. Like, we had a good race with Rick. I just wanted to stay out of trouble, make no mistakes, and fortunately he made a bit of an error near the end, so I had a bit of a gap.
Well, Rick Kelly pushing Simon Wills so hard until just you went off again as you did in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, I just went in a bit deep and didn't get off the brakes early enough and understeered off. So it's a bit disappointing I couldn't push Simon to the end, but hopefully I can do it next race.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that Rick Kelly will push Simon Wills all the way in race 2. Up next, Porsche Cup from Winton. Stay with us. Clear and sunny conditions for the latest round, round 3 in fact, of the 2001 Porsche Cup. We're at Winton Motor Raceway, the 3-kilometre circuit. Martin Wagg, the former chief of Porsche Racing Australia, will carry our trackside onboard camera in his new car. And it's been a great start for him too. Last year he was in a 993 Super Cup car. His brand new GT3 is on pole alongside Paul Whitmarsh, John Good and Richard Wilson on row 2. Further back through the field, Jack Crocker and Wayne Hennig. And then Winston Kim in the PBR Porsche will start from grid position 11 alongside Russell Wright. So Martin Wagg just getting the maximum amount of warmth he can into the brakes before we get started for racing here. Whitmarsh is also in a former championship winning car. There's Richard Wilson on row 2. Green light, we are away and racing, and Whitmarsh has got a brilliant start as well, rocketing off the line in the Australian Wharf and Bridge GT2 into turn 1. This car is one that's been campaigned in the past by Peter Bradbury, recently driven by Don Beninka. We've got a spinner there. Several cars going off, so mayhem at turn 1 here, Cameron McConville.
A big incident, and it was pretty much right in the middle of the pack too, so it's taken out at least 6 or 7 cars. We'll have to wait and see on replay, but I think after all of that, it looks like one car only to be stationary in the infield. Everyone else has made it through.
Looks like Jack Crocker was caught up in that melee. It's taken out a heck of a lot of people in Class B. Richard Wilson doing a good job there to hold down 3rd position. Up in front, oh, look at him, he's bounced off the curb there, so the cold tyre's already a factor.
Certainly is a controlled tyre in this championship, and let's have a look on replay here now. Oh, it's all happened there going into the left-hander. A couple of cars. There's Winston Kim on the outside in the PBR GT3. He was innocently taken out. We couldn't see from that angle who it was, but someone dived up the inside, ran out of room, and it was all over from there.
Whitmarsh doing a good job to hold off the XL Concrete 911 GT3. We jump aboard with Martin Wagg. This is the turn that brings them onto the front straight. Let's have a listen. Let's ride with Martin Wagg.
Well, in 4th gear, back to 3rd, so didn't grab 5th there down the front straight. It's geared quite tall, this GT3, and you can see a lot of torque out of the Porsche too. Looked like it had just a little bit of understeer coming onto the front straight, a fair bit of lock you can see there, turning the steering wheel, so Martin's just a little bit off the back of Whitmarsh at the moment.
Don Tryhorn once again doing a terrific job in Class B, and when you consider, Cam, that so many cars were involved in that first corner skirmish, he's come out of that pretty well.
Well, I think there was a fair bit of luck in that first corner skirmish. If you're on the inside, you may have got through. If you're on the outside, like Winston Kim was, all the cars ended up heading out that way and you had to run off the road, and I think Winston was probably a retiree out of that.
Tim Pritchard back in 10th position in the 911 at the moment. 1:35.06 his last lap. Now Richard Wilson under siege here in 3rd position. Bernie Stack in the 993 right on his tail. So the by-car entry, which is a 911 GT2.
Immaculately turned out too, Rusty. And let's have a look at the front there. Martin Wagg looking for a way through, couldn't quite pull it off. Now, as far as horsepower goes, you'd expect that GT2 up in front there would have a little bit more, but under brakes, the GT3 should come into its own.
Oh, Hennig fighting here with Jack Crocker. Look at, oh boy, there's been big contact there and massive damage to Hennig's car.
I think he's got a loose wheel there. Yeah, the right front wheel has virtually come off, and I think that would not be as a result of the contact being on the other side of the car, so it may have come off. He lost his steering, and very lucky not to hit anything or not to run into the wall.
Lots of damage to the 993 RSR. He'll take no further part in this one. Now, Martin Wagg, a deep move under brakes. Oh, and contact too. So it is all happening here at Winton. The XL Concrete machine finds its way somehow back on to the old main straight, the old start-finish line area. And Whitmarsh has stayed in touch with him. How did that all happen?
Well, Martin Wagg just decided there that he'd pull out and have a look. There definitely was a gap down the inside, but he came from a long way back, and I don't think Whitmarsh was expecting him to try and pass there. Probably thought he wasn't quite close enough, so didn't really cover the line. And then it was too late. He turned in. Martin was already there. perhaps Martin was... let's have a look. You see he's a long way back there. So under brakes, he's gone right up the inside. And bang, there's the contact. Now, if Whitmarsh wasn't there, I would have to say that Martin Wag would probably not have made that corner. So we'll have to wait and see what the stewards deem of that one.
Now, trackside onboard cameras take you for the ride. Now, Ken Jarrett in the GT3 is all over the back of Martin Wag. Is Wag struggling as we head towards the finish of this one?
Covering his line, being the defensive, which he's entitled to do on the last lap. Now that he's had to work fairly hard for that lead, he doesn't want to lose it. And we'll have to see, there's only a couple of corners left to run, but there is an opportunity to pass down the inside under brakes at the end of this straight.
Jarrett doing a good job in second position in car 18. Wag doing his level best to hold him out, and I think you'll find with only one corner to go, he'll be able to do that. Richard Wilson with his own issues. Bernie Stack right in behind him. Onto the front straight. And he survives. Martin Wag will take out the opening race in round 3 of the 2001 Australian Porsche Cup. A narrow margin over Ken Jarrett. Less than a second it was. Then it's Richard Wilson in third from Bernie Stack in the 993. So what a start to round 3 of the championship.
Action-packed, that's for sure. Now, hopefully, most of those cars from that first corner will be able to make it to race 2. And there's a battle here going right to the finish, though.
Yeah, certainly is in Class B. Russell Wright, Don Tryhorn's in there as well. Looks like Jack Crocker may have gotten the upper hand, and Crocker sporting some damage after that coming together with Hennig. But that's how they finished in the opening encounter here at Winton. Martin Wag, can he make it 2 from 2 in the second race a little later in the show? Well, he's got a lot of local knowledge at this track, Cam.
He does know the track very, very well. I mean, I tell you what, he drove very aggressively in that race. So let's see how he goes in race 2. Good to see him come out with a win.
Let's check him out for you too on the Porsche Cup scoreboard after the opening race. Martin Wag, the outright winner, and winning the GT3 class as well over Ken Jarrett. Richard Wilson, the first of the A-class competitors.
Well, Martin Wag, what a finish.
Yeah, it was pretty odd. We just held up for a long time behind there, getting pretty frustrated with it all. But in the end, there was a little opening. We had to go for it, and we went for it. It's a close call.
You didn't seem to back off when you went to the dirt either.
Oh, no. I knew I had to just keep it going and just keep floating into it and just get out the other side. I'm used to going through the air, you know that, Grant.
Well, Paul Whitmarsh, you obviously came off second best out of that incident. How do you see it?
It's interesting to see how wide the track actually does get down there, and we get people who want to go demolition derbies and paddock bashing and things like that. Perhaps they should buy an HQ and see what they can do with that. Unfortunately, if you can't pass, stay on the tar and drive the way we're all meant to drive. It's one of those things, if you're in front, you take your line. It's very simple. He was literally in the grass before he hit me. I had my nose to the corner. I understand that's racing.
A fiery start to Porsche Cup. Up next after the break, Nations Cup and GTP. Stay with us.
Getting set for round 1 of the Century Batteries GTP Championship, here's Greg Rust.
Well, JB Pole in the new Mustang, that's a great start.
Well, it is a great start. The guys have worked really hard to get it ready, and it didn't turn a wheel till last Wednesday, so I think we may have been a little optimistic in our tyre choice. We ran a fairly soft tyre because the weather's so cold, and I mean, I guess that enabled us to put it on pole, but I think in the race, probably the tyres will wilt, but it's early days for it, and I'm really very happy to be involved with it. It's a great little car.
So, riding with Mark King, the reigning Australian GT Production Car Championship. That's your pull-right-in car. And also Matt Coleman in the VW Beetle RSI, the sensational new 2.8-litre V6 front-wheel drive Beetle.
Welcome return for the Mustang to racing here in Australia, and in dominant style too. Taking pole, a 105.66 for John Bauer from Wayne Boatwright on the front row.
Yeah, very tight in qualifying all the way through. Peter Floyd, Ed Aitken further back in the HSV 300-kilowatt Commodores. And then the first of the Class B mans, Wayne Russell. Bit of a surprise in the BMW by about 1/10 of a second from Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2, and then Nathan Thomas about 0.5 of a second further back in the Honda Integra Type R.
Matt Coleman, who we rode with before in the second of the VW Beetles from position 28. And further back, David Ratcliffe as well. We'll keep an eye on him debuting the brand new Celica.
Mark King coming up to his grid position now, so almost set for a start.
Big V8 roaring in the hands of John Bauer. Wayne Boatwright blasts off the line though in the Subaru. Bob Pearson in the background there in the Mazda RX-7 getting a great start, but Bowie has been swamped off the line in the Mustang. Bob Pearson in all sorts of trouble. Wow, he's copped a big cloud in the back of the Mazda RX-7.
Yeah, it looked like Gary Dean was involved in that. And I think also Trevor Haynes was caught out of one of the yellow Subaru STIs. It might have been actually Jimmy Stewart, but one of them certainly caught out. Pearson now trying to fire the car up and get going again.
Colin Osborne in trouble as well in the Toyota Celica. So Cameron McConville, it's all happened before they even got to the first corner.
Well, I think John Bow's slow start, there's a red flag too, so they've decided to stop the race to clear the cars out of the way. But I think Bowie's slow start may have caused a little bit of confusion, cars scurrying to get around him, and unfortunately that was the end result.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is Mark King, Gary Dean just ahead of him. King goes up behind Dean. Dean and Pearson come together quite clear there. King goes through the middle, and it appears 2 or 3 more have been caught up in it, and that's of course brought out the red flag.
A view from Matty Coleman's V-dub, and he's copped a hit as well.
I think that's actually out of the corner there, Rusty, so he got turned around. Yes, that was maybe Colin Osborne, contact there, and he'll make up some spots now. That's been red flag.
So this is the race restart. Away we go. Boatright gets away brilliantly. So too, look at Mark King, and some of them diving up the inside on the grass there. So Bow again has had trouble getting this car off the line. They have got some stickier tyres on this car to try and cope with the cold conditions, and Bow did a very successful 2-day test in the lead up to this round in the car, but they're still coming to grips with it.
Well, Pearson in the Mazda RX-7 had to start from pit lane after a great effort in qualifying. Qualified 4th fastest in the Mazda RX-7. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, but a sensational debut again for the new John Bow Ford Mustang. Although, Cam, it looks like he's still got problems getting the car off the line.
Yes, he has. Oh, Matt Coleman there just let one of the Hondas through on the inside. But look, John hasn't had an opportunity to do a practice start or many of them, so I'm sure he'll get that sussed out without too many more races.
Given the nature of the layout here at Wakefield Park, I guess it's no real surprise to see the turbocharged 4-wheel drive Japanese cars up front.
That's right, a lot of tight, twisty corners, Rusty, so getting the power down is essential, and you could see that off the start line. The Subaru just absolutely slingshotted off the line.
Oh, Mark King! Big trouble for Mark King.
Lost it.
Bob Hughes is involved in that too, so...
Rotten luck for the local driver who knows this track so well. Was very quick in practice, Bob Hughes. And the reigning champ, that is how his first race of the weekend will end.
Yeah, bad luck for Mark King. Qualified inside the top 5. Hughes also did well. He's had a lot of setup time around Wakefield Park by Rick Bates in this car. It's an Evo 6. It's the later model than the Mark King car, so also not Bob Hughes' weekend.
Just looking at that incident, I think Mark King may have sort of brought himself undone there. He was certainly looking to go down the inside, but there really wasn't a spot. Ran into the back, and let's have a look here.
Hey, well, that's Matty Coleman, and he is not happy in the slightest with whoever is in behind him. Now, perhaps with the yellow flags out, let's have a look at this. This is King.
Yeah, just went down the inside, was trying to have a look into the right-hander turn 1, went in a bit hot, lost it and came across, and look at the heavy contact there. I'd say that was just a little bit over-exuberant into turn 1, probably wasn't a big enough hole to go through on the inside there. Look, there's the contact. Straight into the back of Hughes, the car spins around, contact on the way through, and that was just a little bit over-exuberant, I think, on behalf of Mark King, and he'd be disappointed because it's ended his race.
So safety car is out to bring the field under control again. Thrifty safety car, sensational new Magna VRX.
Another car pulling off, so we're getting set for a race restart here at Wakefield Park. Wayne Boatright from Brett Peters. So Boatright leads the field onto the front straight here. And racing is underway. Philip Polides, who did a terrific job on the streets of Adelaide just a couple of weeks ago, is the first of the V8, well, the second of the V8 runners. JB is ahead of him in the Mustang, but the first of the Commodore drivers.
Yeah, I guess no real surprise that the 4-wheel drives around here, particularly with the cool air, also will be getting a bit more horsepower, a bit more boost due to the low ambient engine temperatures, but no real surprise that these cars are super quick around here. A great performance from Boatright up the front. Gary Dean just behind him, then Brett Peters. Boatright had a win at an Orient Park round of the GDP Series last year, and this is a car that's really come on form.
It's a confidence-boosting effort here for him as well, because he had some engine problems in the lead-up to this round, so they appear to have cured those. Gary Dean doing a terrific job there in second position, and can't speak highly enough either of Brett Peters' performance.
Yeah, Brett Peters is doing well. Dean in the car that's crewed by Rod Dawson and the boys at Lakeside. Matty Coleman now with, it looks like it's Alan Shepard in the Honda Integra Type R, but just behind him.
Well, let's see if Matty can concentrate on the job up front. He's certainly doing well to keep that Honda behind him. You can see contact or marks on the front rather of that Honda. So, whoa! He's turned him around. Matty will not be happy.
And again, Matty is very angry. So perhaps Shepherd was the one he was talking about earlier. We couldn't quite see who was behind him.
We heard what he had to say.
Yeah.
A very clear message to back off, and obviously Shepherd continued to hound him all the way through the race.
We should get down to the VW pits after this race, I think.
So John Bow now starting to, in fact, fall further back through the field. He's just been wrapped up by Phil Kirkham's Mazda RX-7, so it suggests that Bow may well have a problem in the Mustang. He's lapping nowhere near his qualifying times. He's some 2.5, 3 seconds off.
Actually, it's interesting that you say that, because the last time he came past us here in the commentary boxes, Alexander goes off. That was a bit of a concertina, wasn't it?
It certainly was. You can see John Bow ran into the back of Kirkham, and there may have been contact up front, and from Kirkham that was, and he went straight off the road. But John Bow is certainly struggling for speed, but I just wonder if he's just struggling to find a way past.
Let's have a look at the replay. Alexander in front, then Kirkham. Bow gives Kirkham a nice old serve. In turn, Kirkham pushes Alexander well and truly offline. Phil Politis in the yellow Commodore sitting behind these three, taking it all in. But again, Bow has been swallowed up.
Yeah, difficult to tell. It does sound like the car may be missing in some way. I wonder if it's dropped a cylinder or something along those lines. But Bow typically is pressing on here, and he's been passed by the Commodore of Politis, so no longer the fastest of the V8s, and Aitken's gotten by him now as well. So still, though, it's been a stunning debut performance, and great to see the Cobra back in action.
Yeah, this is a what they call a Mustang Cobra RA. 300 Cobra Rs were built in the American market. The RA is the Australian delivered version. These will be built and sold by Ford in Australia as road cars. This is effectively the first one that's been built, backed by Budweiser, and very much a full-on Ford manufacturer effort in GTP with this Mustang.
Shane Jenner sitting in 14th position. Harry Morecambe there in 13th. Bow continues this defensive run that he's doing here, Cam, but it must be tough if the car's struggling.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, and he's also trying to attack to make up spots, and you'd really need to have the horsepower down the straight to draw alongside to make a move under braking. He can't do that, so he's really just got to be a little bit of a sitting duck and really just get some points in race one here.
This is Phil Politis, the man that won race one at the first round of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Championship at Adelaide. Boatwright's in trouble.
So I wonder what has happened there. He slowed dramatically. He was leading this race. That'll hand it to Gary Dean. So Wayne Boatwright is in all sorts of bother here. That is rotten luck for him.
Yeah, parking the car, so I'd say some kind of mechanical failure in the car.
Looked like the back wheels were actually, or the right rear was locked there, so it could be some sort of drivetrain problem being an all-wheel drive car.
So new race leader Gary Dean from Queensland in the PMM Subaru WRX STI. Being chased now by Brett Peters. It's been quite some time. In fact, Barry Morecambe also in problems, or having problems with his Holden Commodore as well.
He's had a tough start to the season at both Adelaide and now problems here at Wakefield Park. So rotten luck for Morecambe, who has switched to V8 power this year after spending most of his time behind the wheel of a turbocharged Mazda RX-7 last season. Good performance here. Look at this, Russell under siege. Up the inside of him comes Nathan Thomas in the Quirks Refrigeration Honda, and promptly Russell goes back.
Well, we'll have to have a look at the straight line power here. BMW against the Honda, and the BMW is doing very well, and you can see also the Evo, was it the Lancer, coming out of the draft. That will have more power than all three of them, but can't quite make it through. That looks like Gilbert, is it, in the Castro Gilbert machine there. A little bit off the Class A pace, but still having a good dice in amongst these smaller cars.
This is a great battle for Class B, the Sports Touring class. So now the Integra goes to the lead. Russell trying to hang around the outside, and running third in the red and white car just behind these two is Nathan Pilkington in the Mitsubishi FTO V6.
Gee, Thomas is really throwing this car around in a bid to hang on to that class lead. Not too far in behind them, interestingly, was Anthony Robson as well, who dominated the class in the second race in Adelaide. So we'll see how he goes. Perhaps waiting for a mistake from either of those guys.
New race leader, Brett Peters has now gone to the lead in the Subaru STI. In fact, Michael Brock in the Evo 5 has moved through to second. Gary Dean has dropped back to third.
Yeah, we caught a quick shot of him there just a few moments ago. I wonder what's happened to Gary Dean. So he's dropped back to third position and is staging a bit of a fight back, but up in front, a new race leader.
Bob Pearson also staging a bit of a fight back in the Mazda RX-7. Fastest lap so far, 106.9. So he's certainly coming back through the field. In fact, he's 2.5 seconds under the lap record.
So Pearson is certainly flying. So too is Brett Peters as he heads for home in the Panasonic Subaru WRX. Just ahead of him here, Peter Boylan in the Quirks Refrigeration BMW. Second meeting in that brand new car, and it's going quite well for Peter. But Brett Peters is the man who's going to take this race out. Sensational performance. Brock will get home in second. but it's a Subaru that takes it out.
Yeah, great to see a newcomer have a win such as Brett Peters, and good to see Subaru back at the front of the field too in GTP, which has really been dominated pretty much by the HSVs and Evo 5s, I suppose, for the last 2 or 3 races. But 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 in qualifying, and a pretty mixed bunch at the front of the field also in this race. John Bow, the Bud Mustang, coming through now to take the checkered flag, and it looks like Wayne Russell will take the win in the sports touring class from Nathan Thomas in the Honda Integra. Just behind him, Nathan Pilkington in the V6 and Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2 to come through in 4th in Class B. So great debut for the Century Batteries GT Production Car Championship here at Wakefield Park this weekend. Peters, the race winner from Michael Brock, then Gary Dean, Phil Kirkham. Good result for him in the Mazda RX-7 to finish 4th. Polides, Knight, Ed Aitken and Peter Floyd rounding out the top 8. First home in the Hippie Sports Touring class. Good result from Wayne Russell in the BMW, from Nathan Thomas and Nathan Pilkington in the Mitsubishi FTO V6, down to Greg Rust.
Well, but I guess it was a case of good management, but also a bit of luck needed out there.
Sure was, Greg. It was rough and tough there for a while. There was cars going everywhere. As you know, we had the restart, and I thought they'd all settle down after that, but they didn't. So I kept my nose clean and, yeah, got up near the front and then just chipped away at them.
The talking point yesterday was the Mustang getting pole. The talking point now, I guess, is how well the four-wheel drive might be suited to Wakefield Park.
Well, yeah, we knew that qualifying, I was very disappointed after Friday, but we knew that we could get a good start. Did in Adelaide too. The four-wheel drives just absolutely rocket off the line. So, yeah, it was great.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Stay with us here on your home of motorsport. Lots more coming your way, including Formula Holden from a hot Hinton Valley. Back in a moment. Hope you're enjoying all of this afternoon's action right here on Trackside. From tin tops to open wheelers getting set for the second race at Hidden Valley in the Formula Holdens. Rick Kelly, that man right there, very determined to try and beat his teammate Simon Wills in this one. Peter Hill had a big spin in practice, has had some engine dramas as well. He'll carry one of our 2 Trackside onboard cameras. The Holden Young Lions entry in the hands of Rick Kelly, who'll start on the front row, will carry our second camera. The NRC Racing teammates McCall and Newton-John on row 2. Then the Hocking Motorsport cars, Murchison and Contaparis. Then it's Terry Clearahan and Mark Ellis, Ian Peters, Alan Gerb, and Peter Hill, who we just saw at the very back of the grid. Warm conditions here today, over 30 degrees, so you can bet that it's even warmer within the cockpit of that car. At least they've got some cool air coming across the top of them. Good start by Taparis. He was trying to get around one of the NRC cars, but it's Rick Kelly who's catapulted away and leads Simon Wills. McCall in 3rd position. Newton-John has lost some ground. Christian Murchison has gotten around him. They're all through turn 1 for the first time, but a good start, Cameron McConville, by Rick Kelly.
It was a great start. He really got the power down well, got a slingshot off the line, and there's Peter Hill, who's actually made up 4 spots too in the first lap. So he'll be wrapped with that. Disappointed to have to start off the back of the grid, but Kelly's got his head down. Now he needs to try and get a gap from Simon Wills, and also, I suppose, not leave a gap for him to get past.
There's Alan Gurr, who had some gearbox problems in race 1. They seem to have fixed the car for race 2, and he's doing a terrific job at the moment. Keep in mind, he's working his way in the Roll Australia entry from virtually the back of the grid. Kelly setting a storming pace on these cold Yokohama tyres from the outset. Wills in 2nd, and McCall under threat now from Christian Murchison.
Yeah, Murchison, let's go back on. Let's go on board Peter Hill. Let's have a look at this great start, because he made up quite a few spots. 2nd gear, he really got the power down well. Didn't get too much wheel spin. The engine bogged slightly. Now he's gone across to the inside, and look at that.
Like a rocket down into turn 1. Hill has made up a stack of ground in the M111 race in Reynard. Brilliant start from him. Murchison got a flyer as well, and so did Rick Kelly. It enabled Kelly to get from grid position 2 into the lead. Well, what a season Christian Murchison has had so far. Hooked up with the Hocking Motorsport guys in a deal that was clinched, I guess, very late in terms of the motorsport season. Had some overseas ambitions which thus far haven't panned out, but the Singaporean driver is back in Formula Holden once again, and right now holds down 4th position. But he had a real tough run in Adelaide.
Yeah, he didn't have a good run there, and I know that Christian would really want to be right up the front in this category, and that the Hocking car perhaps a little underdeveloped. Oh, who's coming into the pits? That's Stuart McCall.
The word is, I think in fact that's Emerson Newton-John, and the word that we're hearing is that he may have a stop-go penalty of some sort. So We'll try and get confirmation of that for you in the meantime. Back aboard with Peter Hill over the start-finish line, indeed.
Stop-go penalty.
And you can bet that Newton-John will be filthy about that. So he's lost a heck of a lot of ground. In fact, will rejoin virtually in last position. So the American, who had high hopes of doing so well in this championship and thoroughly planned to use it as a springboard to another category in Europe or in America next season, has had a really rotten start to the year.
And sometimes it can start out that way too, Rusty. He certainly hasn't really done anything wrong except for that incident at the Grand Prix. We had a very, very heavy crash. But at the front of the pack, Simon Wills has closed right up onto the back of Rick Kelly. See him in the slipstream there, pulling out under brakes. Oh, big lock-up from Rick Kelly. It's pretty adventurous to think you can go right around the outside there at turn one. You'll have to slot in behind him and try under brakes into the right-hander.
It is on there between the rookie and the champion. No two ways about it. Roger Oakeshott in car 28, who we got a quick shot of there, had some gearbox problems after a high-speed spin in qualifying at turn one. So at the moment, he sits in 10th position in the Sportsmed South Australian entry onto the front straight. So a good battle going on there. In behind them, Emerson Newton-John. Now with Peter Hill. He looks like he's gotten around Contapara, so he's doing a fantastic job. Oh, big brake lock-up, though.
Very big lock-up.
That's cost him a stack of time. That's on the run up towards what they call Hidden Valley, this intersection here. Now, is there a problem?
I'd say so, because he's short-shifting. Let's have a look. It's a front, yep, it's the front locking up. Now, oh.
He's got a flat tyre at the back left.
You're right. Flat tyre, so did very well to hang on to that, actually. A left rear tyre going down, which brought the front of the car up off the ground, and that's disastrous. Peter Hill will be disappointed. Survived a high-speed crash earlier in the weekend, so I'm sure he'd be relieved to catch that one.
Well, he had to put a fresh engine in for this race as well, so his first venture to the top end will be one that he'd prefer to forget now. Lap traffic for our race leader to contend with here, and you can bet that Kelly will want to get past him very quickly. He does. Simon Wills trying to stay in touch with him, so it is on here between these two guys, the rookie and the reigning champion. Wills has won the championship on 2 occasions. In qualifying, they were separated by 3/100ths of a second. Incredible speeds from these cars at the very end of the front straight. So late under brakes. Look at that. Now, Kelly's bunched in. Where is Wills going to go? Kelly goes to the outside. Wills tries to come with him. Awesome shots as we jump aboard the Holden Young Lions entry. Wills looking for the run down the inside. Not close enough. Those shots, though, how graphic is that? It's just such a quick ride with the Formula Holden guys.
Well, Rick Kelly got held up through turn one there, and luckily Simon Wills went to have a bit of a look down the inside. Perhaps went in a bit too deep himself and lost out, but Rick has to try and get through this traffic as quickly as he can. He needs to read it correctly too, because that could really cost him if Simon Wills is so close behind.
Well, we are set for a brilliant finish to this race, right to the checkered flag. At the moment, Rick Kelly has gotten the upper hand over Simon Wills. He's doing exactly what he set out to do. He said at the end of race one that he wanted to get one back on Simon. Simon using, look at the slipstream, look how much ground Simon Wills makes up at the end of the main straight. He's on the outside. Can Wills go around him? He doesn't. That's a brilliant move. Wow.
Very, very late under brakes, but gee, the horsepower of Simon Wills' Formula Holden, they're obviously all identical engines, and we have a fastest lap of a 1:02.93, so he's absolutely flying, but he came from a long way back, got a really big advantage of the toe, pulled straight to the outside, braked as late as he possibly could, and it's quite bumpy there, and he pulled it off.
That is a new lap record for the Formula Holdens. Keep in mind, this is their first outing at Hidden Valley, and not only has Simon Wills broken the lap record set in race one, he has also set a new outright lap record for this circuit. That is the fastest lap time ever recorded here. But oh, Kelly's in trouble. Boy, he is right on the knife edge. Rick Kelly, look at him locking up that inside left again.
Yeah, he seems to do that most laps through there as he goes down onto the front straight. It's a very quick left-hander, so most of the weight of the car moves across to the right. The left front just gets light, and it probably wouldn't be flat spotting that tyre at all.
Hasn't this spurred Rick Kelly on? Right with Simon Wills at the end of the front straight, nothing in it between those two guys, and gee, he was carrying some incredible car speed down into that final turn which brings them onto the front straight. We're heading for home in this one. Round 4 of the 2001 Formula Holden Australian Drivers' Championship. The man who's top of the point score right now is in second position and chasing the dual Australian champion Simon Wills, who's been spending the better part of his year behind the wheel of a V8 supercar in the Konica Series. Had a crash, you may recall, at the recent round at Winton. But it looks like he'll be back in action in the next round of the Konica Series at Phillip Island. So he's having a mixed season. Brief outing in open wheelers once again. Well, a brilliant performance from Simon Wills. He wins race 2 here. Barana Engineering doing it once again. And Rick Kelly, you can't speak highly enough of his drive here this weekend. He had a moment in race 1, but he stuck right with Simon Wills throughout this race. And although he was passed by him, Cameron, that's an excellent performance.
No, he drove very well. Only one little mistake in race 1, but he still retains the lead in the championship, and I'm sure that's what he'll be thinking about.
Good points as well for Stuart McCall, who's just stayed right out of trouble all weekend. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay in touch with these two guys up in front, but his third position will give him valuable championship points for the NRC racing team as well. Alan Gurr, a good effort in 4th. Let's go trackside right now and hear from our winner. Grant Denyer is with him.
Well, Simon Wills, you really had to chase down that race win. Congratulations, well done. That gives you the race win on the day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it was a tough one, that one. Rick drove superb, really. It's very hard to pass on this track when you get close because you start losing downforce, and the relativity of the low grip of the surface just makes it damn hard. But I managed to get a couple of good goes at him, and yeah, got him.
Made a lot of changes for the last race then, and we picked up about a second from our first race, which made it a lot better to race, but we've still got a long way to go to get the guys in front.
Let's have a look at the Formula Holden Australian Drivers' Championship point score. Rick Kelly on top by 31 points over McCall, who's 14 clear of Simon Wills. Wills picking up 60 points from contesting just 2 rounds. From open wheels to tin tops, up next some Nations Cup action and Porsche Cup right after the break. Stay with us here on Trackside. Lamborghini and Paul Stokel drew first blood in the opening encounter of Nations Cup here at Wakefield Park. Mark Noske bringing home the Budweiser Ferrari in second. But it was a terrific start to the weekend for Stokel. Can he repeat that performance in the second race? Dom Beninka carrying one of our 2 trackside onboard cameras in the Porsche 911 GT3.
And because this is a reverse grid race, Mark Treadwith, the pole sitter, also carrying an in-car camera. Mike Downard will start from position 2 from Sam Newman, then Stuart Gagg, Mahir Al-Ghaddari in the Ferrari alongside Scott Shearman, Tony Quinn, the VIP Pet Foods Porsche, alongside Peter Fitzgerald and his Porsche.
This is round 2, race 2 of the MegaMantis.com Nations Cup for season 2001. The reigning champ, Jim Richards, will start from position 10 in this one. And just 1 row ahead of him, Peter Fitzgerald, who is well placed. Our race winner right off the very back of the grid. Trenoweth on the inside in the Super Cheap Autos Jaguar as we get set to take off here. Horde of Ferraris in behind him. For the Prancing Horse outfit, we've got the green flag. We are up and running, and Trenoweth has been swapped off the line.
And Sammy Newman, of all people, has gone through the lead. What a great start from Sammy Newman in the Black Stallion car. Further back in the field, Paul Stokel, with Noske just behind him. Beninka on the inside in the TNT Porsche.
Wow, what about that from Stokel all the way around the outside as we welcome Cameron McConville back to the commentary box. That's a bold move on cold tyres.
Well, he's made up, look at that, 3 spots. He was right in front of Noske, and he's put about 3 cars between the 2 of them. That was obviously his plan, but just looking at the start of that race, too many drivers dawdling in the middle of the pack, so everyone has to stay close for a rolling start, and that's not going to help the guys coming way off the back of the grid.
So a great start for Sammy Newman, continuing to lead from Peter Fitzgerald in the Falcon Tyres Porsche as the Treadwith Jaguar starts to fall back through the field.
Fitzgerald really applying the pressure. Something's happened to Al-Ghaddari because he's fallen right back through the field. Here, look at that Tulin taking evasive action, and bang! Dominic Beninka in the TNT Porsche has sustained a lot of damage there. Tulin should be able to restart this one, Cam.
Well, Al-Ghaddari looks like he got sideways. He may have got squeezed for room by, I think, one of the other Ferraris, maybe it's Scott Shearman, but he started off a reaction getting sideways. Trulin went to avoid him. He eventually lost it, and Dom Beninka, the innocent party, collected him on the way through.
Plenty of smoke coming out of the back of the Paul Stokel Lamborghini too. I think that may have been a result of a touch with Mark Noske at the start of this race, the rolling start. So whether that's going to cause Paul any further problems.
Just can't believe that whole series of events there. I wonder if that was maybe started by Trenworth. He had the lose coming into that corner in the Jaguar, and everyone maybe took evasive action. Perhaps that's what the catalyst was. In the meantime, Stokel doing a terrific job. Let's have another look at this.
Well, look at Al Gadri go up the inside. You see he hit the curb. He got sideways, so he did get squeezed for room. Then he's overcorrected, come back across the track. So I'd say it may have actually been Mark Noski in the Ferrari that sort of squeezed him for room back on the left-hander, and it was all a bit of a reaction from there.
So bad luck for Dominic Beninka and a sad blow as we look at the onboard replay now.
So watch Al Gadri come up the inside.
Whoa, quite graphic.
Dominic Beninka sustaining a lot of damage, and I think that will be the end of his race in the TNT Porsche. Tony Quinn now ahead of our race one winner, Paul Stokel. You can see the stricken TNT Porsche just off to the left there.
Yeah, bad luck for Dominic Beninka and a severe blow to his championship points too, given that we're into round two. Great performance from Tony Quinn and the VIP Pet Foods Porsche GT3. Finished second to Jimmy Richards in Targa Tasmania recently. Now under threat, though, from Paul Stokel's V12 Lamborghini.
Tell you who's got the biggest smile here at Wakefield Park right now. That has got to be Peter Fitzgerald. He has really cleared out on this duo. Second place now resolved in favour of Paul Stokel. So Tony Quinn, in the end, lets him through. Big weekend for Tony Quinn as well, not only campaigning a Porsche but running in the V8 Ute Series as well.
Yeah, loves his motor racing. Former Scottish Formula Ford champion is Tony Quinn. As Paul Stokel now, new lap record, a 1:08.1, so the Lamborghini well and truly on a charge.
Doing a terrific job in these cold conditions at Wakefield Park, and from the get-go, Cam, he was right on it.
He certainly was. He's been driving very aggressively, and sometimes that can go against you in a reverse grid race, but you either take that on board and you go straight down the inside, you don't hesitate, and that's what he's done. He's really thrown that car down the inside, got past a lot of people, including Jim Richards, very, very easily.
Tony Quinn on screen again in car 43, Jimmy Richards in the OAMS Porsche, with Noski sandwiched between the two Porsches at the moment. Noski finished second to Stokel in the earlier race here at Wakefield Park.
Stokel is back in the Lamborghini Diablo SVR this weekend, Craig. A lot of people would have seen the debut of the brand new GTR at Adelaide, but that car's had to head back to Italy as Noski makes a move down the inside in another Italian make, the Ferrari, down the inside of Jim Richards.
Did it pretty easily in the end there, Rusty, and that was good. Jim Richards gave him enough room. He got there, got right alongside the B-pillar, which is generally determined as the overtaking section, or when the car gets alongside that B-pillar, that car now has right of way, and Jim let him through.
Well, I guess Jimmy knows how to win championships, and that's how you do it, Cam. He knows he can't beat him on the road in terms of outright car speed today, but he can still pick up a bag of points, so why argue over it and perhaps run the risk of going off? But Peter Fitzgerald in the Falcon Tyres Porsche continues to lead.
Wonder if the gap can be closed here if there's enough time and the way that Stokel is driving.
Certainly I think there is, Rusty, because that car has got a lot of straight line speed. Just coming onto the straight there, it looked a little nervous in the back of the car. You could see it hopping around a lot, so I don't know whether the car has sprung a little too stiffly or something in the rear shock, but it certainly looked like it was bouncing all over the road, but still producing good pace.
I tell you what, though, it looks like Stokel picked up a fair bit of track time over Peter Fitzgerald last time around. Further back in the field, Noski currently running third on the road, finished second in the earlier race today, so he's got to run both Fitzgerald and Stokel down if he's any chance of claiming a full set of points in this race.
Noski doing a terrific job in the Budweiser Ferrari. Had expected him to be a bit closer to the battle going on up in front now. This is Mark Trenworth in the Super Cheap Autos Jaguar. He is about to be lapped just by... Oh, he's run off the circuit here too on the top turn. Hangs on to it in the supercharged Jaguar, but he's under threat here because Stokel and Fitzgerald, there they are. So Fitzgerald gets past, so too does Stokel. Look at the speed differential between those cars, and now Stokel right around the outside. Fitzgerald, as we head for home, tries to hang on to second, but it was all in vain.
Well, look at the horsepower difference there. The Lamborghini just drove right around the outside. I thought Fitzy may have still been far enough in front to cover the inside line, but a good out-braking manoeuvre there by Paul Stokel, and he's going to pull it off right from the back of the grid.
Yeah, very aggressive move by Paul Stokel around the outside of Peter Fitzgerald there, and Fitzy had to back out of it. So I would suggest that Stokel actually took a fair bit of risk to pull that manoeuvre off.
Obviously still very strong under brakes too though, Craig. We thought the Lamborghini may not be as good as the Porsche under brakes, but that nearly proved that wrong.
And I guess it's a bit of a surprise this weekend because I think that no one really thought the Lamborghini would be a real force around this 2.2-kilometre circuit at Wakefield Park, which is really quite tight. If anything, I guess everybody thought it would perhaps be a Porsche track.
Well, he's proved them wrong, hasn't he, Paul Stokell? 2 starts and now his second victory of the weekend. The Lamborghini team delighted with it. The 3-time Australian Formula Holden champion will take it out. Look at that, the battle for second resolved right on the line in favour of Fitzgerald.
Now the bag full of points in the Maguire's Drivers' Championship from Paul Stokell, then Peter Fitzgerald. Mark Noske will finish third in the Ferrari. Jimmy Richards, Tony Quinn, Scott Shearman, Sam Newman and Stuart Gagg. Further back in the field, Downard, Chulin, Trenoweth, Al Gardner and of course Benica, both I don't believe finishers in this race.
From Wakefield Park to Winton, up next, it's all the action from Porsche Cup. Stay with us. V8 Supercar Series certainly is the training ground for the future champions in V8 Supercar terms. And gee, we've seen loads of action in the opening 3 rounds so far this season, particularly the last one at Winton Motor Raceway. So if you like all that, make sure you tune to Trackside next weekend for every moment of round 4 at Phillip Island. Martin Wagg carries our Trackside onboard camera for this, the second race in round 3 of the 2001 Australian Porsche Cup. He took out the opening encounter at Winton in the XL Concrete machine. Here's how they'll line up. Paul Whitmarsh, and you can expect a stoush between those two. There was a real war of words after their coming together at the final turn at the end of the main straight. Hennig and Crocker, well, those two went at it head-to-head as well in the opening race of the day. Winston Kim in the PBR Porsche will start from position 11, just ahead of Russell Wright. It was just a couple of 100 metres up the road that these two went at it. Whitmarsh was the early race leader. Let's see who gets the jump. In race 2, away we go. Good start by Martin Wagg, much better than the opening race. But again, the power of the GT2 comes to the fore. Who will muscle who out for the opening turn? And Whitmarsh gets there. Someone spearing off.
So Ken Jarrett there, yeah. I think. Rusty going off the road. Still comes back on the old front. Oh, look at that. Lose across the track.
Sideways in the Tol IPEC GT3. He's lost a stack of ground. As a result of that one, dropped back to 10th position, just ahead of Winston Kim. Cameron McConville. Whitmarsh has taken the lead in this one in the early stages, but I think we can expect a real fight here with Martin Wagg.
Well, Martin looked like he got the jump off the line, but just by the sound of the engine, I think he may have hit the rev limiter on one of the gear changes, and it's just enough to slow the momentum down. And Whitmarsh got just back in front, braked very late into the first corner, but pulled it off right around the outside.
Richard Wilson has been swamped off the line by the looks of things by Bernie Stack. Wilson has dropped back from 3rd to 5th position. But a good start by Whitmarsh, a car that's been driven before by Peter Bradbury to a championship win, a turbocharged 911 GT2 versus a normally aspirated newer model 911 GT3.
And still a fair bit of horsepower coming out of that GT3. Managed to stay with Whitmarsh down the straight there, accelerating up through the gears from 2nd gear out of the tight left-hander all the way up. And look at Ken Jarrett trying to make his way back through the pack there. He's gone down the inside. He should have the line for the next right-hander onto the front straight. He does. He managed to get through.
Now sideways is Jarrett going. Hennig is the big loser in that one. Looks as though Winston Kim managed to duck up the inside as well. Now Whitmarsh under siege from Martin Wagg. You ride with him now into the old turn 1.
Well, he wasn't happy after race 1, Whitmarsh. He was quite disappointed with coming off and losing 1st and 2nd position as it turned out in the end. So you can see he's driving very defensively, held the inside line into turn 1. He doesn't want to let Wagg through this time.
Michael Turner just ahead of Richard Wilson in the MyCar Motorsport 911 GT2. There is Jarrett, who's on the fight back trail in the IPEC entry. Here's Hennig battling away with Russell Wright in the 993 RS Touring. Now Hennig diving down the inside. This is a tricky part of the circuit here, this infield section. Some tight corners to negotiate.
Well, that's right. He'd be very ambitious to hang in all the way around the outside there. As you can see, he got squeezed on the way out, so it's pretty much single file, but he still managed to have another look up the inside onto the old back straight, but this will now put him on the outside for the left-hander unless he can pull across in front, which he can't. They're still side by side. Now have a look on the way out, the over and under trick, but didn't quite pull it off, so he's certainly having a go.
Mega jet entry really is a jet, isn't it? Holding out Hennig now. Look at this. Hennig trying to dive down the inside and ragged under brakes to the back end, really moving around.
Well, I think he's certainly got more speed. He just has to time it right to get his way past. He was sort of ducking and weaving there, but sort of lost out.
Here's what's happening at the head of the field, and these two have really pulled clear. In fact, a lap competitor coming up as well, so this could make it interesting. Whitmarsh has got the bit between the teeth, no doubt about it, wanting to stamp his name on this second race after coming together with Martin Wagg in race 1. The track really is difficult in this part of the circuit, Cam, because you're tending to bounce it off the curbs, and the camber varies too, doesn't it?
That's right. Well, Wagg getting it totally out of there. It does drop off camber through what they call the flip-flop. This is what they refer to as the gum tree corner, around the big gum tree, the left-hander, onto the back straight, middle of the road, and very easy to understeer there too if you run wide. Lots of marbles that gather up on the outside of the circuit, and very important to get a good run out of there because it does lead down to the old back straight here at Winton.
Several classes in Porsche Cup. This is Andrew Smyrnis that we saw there, running in Class C as Class B. And up in front, A class, and this man here running a 911 GT3 in the GT3 class. He's top of that class at the moment, but he's not the outright race leader. That honour goes to Whitmarsh, who leads the field. Paul Whitmarsh, there he is, over the start-finish line and into turn 1 for the final time. Now there's a sizable gap here, and one that should be too big for Wagg to close.
Well, I think it will be, Rusty. He is catching under brakes, there's no doubt about that. As you can see, he certainly caught under brakes into the S's there where they came together in race 1 at the end of the back straight. Just looking at the in-car shot, he's certainly closed, but there's still a couple of car lengths there to make up, and then he has to find a way past as well. So Whitmarsh is looking pretty good.
Certainly seems to have it in the bag, so it could be 1 to Whitmarsh and 1 to Wagg at the end of round 3 of the championship here at Winton Motor Raceway today. This car's such a well-sorted piece of machinery, isn't it?
Well, it's had a couple of seasons at it now, and it has won a championship, and it was built from the ground up as a purpose-built Porsche race car. Very wide tyres, as you can see in the GT2 with the flare cars. Looks like Wagg's actually dropped back, so I'm not sure if he has a problem, but he's certainly dropped way off the pace now.
How about Whitmarsh's effort on that previous turn? Both the left-hand side wheels dropping off the curb and into the dirt. So he doesn't want Wagg to get within even a sniff of victory here. Martin Wagg up through the gearbox, flashing the lights, so the local driver has obviously got some fans here at Winton. Valuable points for him. Our pole sitter, our race 1 winner. He won't take out race 2 though, because that honour goes to Paul Whitmarsh. Race 2, he takes it out. Martin Wagg will finish in 2nd position in the XL Concrete 911 GT3. So things going well for Martin Wagg in season 2001. There's Bernie Stack. He'll get home in 3rd position. So a fantastic performance in the 993. He'll finish 2nd in Class A because outright honours and victory in Class A today has gone to Paul Whitmarsh. We'll check him out for you on the Porsche race scoreboard. There it is, Martin Wagg, top of things in the GT3 class. And in Class B, a good effort, Jack Crocker taking it out.
Well, Martin Wagg, not quite quick enough to get there in race 2, but it does give you the race overall and the championship lead.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. We've all worked pretty hard at it, so it's just great to see it back up right up the front.
Now, Enders friends, at the end of the day, it was pretty intense at race 1.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, but look, good credit to Paul. It was a pretty ambitious move, but we just got pretty frustrated with being blocked all the way around. So we went for it. There's a gap there, and we just had a big charge.
We enjoyed watching your battles all day. We'll see you at the next round.
You betcha. It should be pretty exciting, I think.
He's not wrong. Should be a ripper contest, and he leads the way, Martin Wagg, by just 9 points In the Porsche Cup Championship after 3 rounds, over Paul Whitmarsh, Michael Turner in 3rd, Ken Jarrett 4th, Richard Wilson 5th and Jack Crocker. Excellent performance. He's top of Class B after 3 rounds. Hope you're enjoying all of your afternoon of motorsport right here on Trackside. In a moment, we head back to Wakefield Park and GT Performance.
Trackside as Simon Wills holds up the trophies. Another great Formula Holden win for the boy. And also a happy man is Martin Wagg, doing very, very well in Porsche Cup in the Porsche GT3 this year. Getting lots of raps from the family. And 2 starts, 2 wins for Paul Stokel in the Lamborghini Diablo SVR in the Nations Cup Series.
Well, Mark, for the champion, we're not used to seeing you off the back of the grid, mate. What's going on?
Oh, look, unfortunately, first race, I got tapped in the back and broke a rear hub, and that put me out in the first race, but this will be interesting.
You've got it all ahead of you.
You bet. Be like peak hour on Friday.
Best of luck, mate.
Thanks very much. I need it.
A lot of work to do, Mark King, from the rear of the grid. That's the view from our trackside onboard camera. 1 of 2. That'll bring you all the pictures during this race. Matthew Coleman, gee, he's been vocal this afternoon. Pretty angry, wasn't he, in the first race of the day?
Brett Peters will start from pole position in car 26 in the Subaru. Michael Brox, Evo 5 alongside. Then Gary Dean, Phil Kirkham. Phil Polides first at the Commodores and Steve Knight alongside him.
Wayne Russell, terrific job so far today in the BMW in Class B. Nathan Thomas will throw out a real challenge to him, and so too will Nathan Pilkington.
Another big field here at Wakefield Park. Anthony Robson, Colin Osborne, Alan Shepherd, Tim Lay in the VWB RSI, then Peter Boylan, then Matty Coleman.
A couple of cars with some dramas in race 1. Barry Morecambe was one of them, so too Wayne Boatwright. It's a big crowd here this weekend, lining the very perimeter of the Wakefield Park circuit, more than 10,000 across the 2 days.
OK, set for a start here at Wakefield Park, and Brett Peters on pole. Gets away well. Gary D just behind him. Michael Brock on the outside. Phil Kirkham also up there in the Mazda RX-7. And Phil Polides, the big yellow HSV 300 kilowatt Commodore.
Yellow flags being waved there as we welcome Cameron McConville to the commentary box. Looks like Steve Knight may have stalled.
Yeah, there's certainly a car stalled there on the grid, and it hasn't moved anywhere. So they're going to have to clear that out in a real hurry. If they can't move it, they'll have to bring the safety car out.
So this will be tight on the first lap. Bob Hughes, Mark King also starting from the back of the field along with Wayne Boatwright, John Bow, middle of the field in the brand new Cobra RA Mustang. As Mark King closes on the back of one of the VWs.
Put yourself in Mark's shoes here.
Well, you just have to be very, very careful to keep your nose clean. The worst thing that he can do is try and risk getting through this traffic and getting tangled again. He needs to get points, and he's up behind the Volkswagen of Matthew Coleman, so he doesn't want to get involved in an incident there.
So Boylan on the inside, Dennis Gilbert on the outside, Matty Coleman's V-dub. Interesting comparison here between the straight inline 6-cylinder BMW and of course the V6 VW RSI.
Boylan really trying very hard, dips the left rear wheel off the black stuff and onto the dirt. The race being led by Peters, who did a terrific job in race 1, but it's a little darker here at the moment, and I've seen a couple of little spots of rain on our cameras, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the weather during this one.
Kirkham has a look down the inside of Dean. Polides just sitting behind these two. John Bow had a problem with the Mustang in the earlier race today. This is a replay off the start. Riding with Matty Coleman, his teammate Timmy Lay just ahead of him.
Let's look for the stalled car. There it is. Oh, gee, he went close, and Tim Lay was probably blocking his view there, so maybe they got on the radio, told him to go left. Fortunately, there was just enough room for the Volkswagen to get through. Lucky it wasn't a big Commodore or Falcon.
Bow's Mustang dropped onto 7 cylinders in the earlier race today, so it'll be interesting to watch his charge back through the field.
Mark King and Hughes going at it, hammer and tong. Keep in mind, they had it coming together in race 1. Problems there for Nathan Thomas. He's run off, and that's really going to hurt his battle in Class B. He was right with Wayne Russell, dicing all the way to the end of race 1. But he's lost a stack of track position there.
Yeah, he's done some great things in that car too since he's jumped into it. Back at the front of the field, though, the battle is on. Michael Brock. Well, I don't know where that line goes. Straight to the pits by the look of it. So Brock's got some kind of problem with the Evo 5.
I just wonder whether there's a stop-go penalty there, Craig, because I saw a black flag just being shown, but they were all in a big pack, so it was hard to see who it was for. I'd say it would be for Michael Brock.
Bow in the Mustang, now the inside of Peter Floyd, this sensational car, number 9, that carries the same number as Alan Moffat's famous Mustang when it first raced in Australia. And Bow now motivating a lot quicker than what he was in the earlier race today.
He certainly is. Look at the way this car is, the speed that it's carrying, now down the inside of Kirkham. So Bow is really on a charge here in the Budweiser Mustang. Sideways on the exit of that corner. It's a big car to muscle around a track like this.
Well, it certainly is, and the question is, will it last the distance as far as tyres are concerned? Now, they haven't done a full race run yet, even though they have done quite a bit of testing, so we'll just have to see whether John Bow can sustain that pace for the whole race.
Mark King of the Delphi Evo 5, the man that wrapped up the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship last year in the final round at Sandown Park when he defeated Rick Shaw. Shaw went on to finish second. We're back in the field of the sports touring class. Again, we look at these sensational new Beetle, VW Beetle RSIs, and to celebrate their involvement in GDP this year, Volkswagen are going to give all our Trackside fans the opportunity to win the brand new 1.8-litre VW Beetle later on this year.
Spent a bit of time with Greg Siddle, Tim Lay and Matt Coleman earlier today over in that massive marquee that the VW team have got. It's an incredible effort, the way that they're getting behind this championship. Robson here.
This is the battle for second and third in the class. Now Lay goes through for third, so you'll find that it's Wayne Russell leading. Pilkington tries to come back at him a little lefty-o. He's a pretty impressive driver, young Nathan Pilkington. He's fairly new to GTP. He's done a lot of sort of club car racing and has really got this car truly wound up.
A light, nimble car like that, Cam, you should be able to really throw it around the Wakefield Park circuit.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun to drive around here because there's a lot of tight left and right-hand corners. And there, we're back at John Bow at the lead, who has gone past Brett Peters. And
so that's a change of position there. Bow's done a terrific job, hasn't he? What a contrast too. We're watching some of the smaller B-class cars and the way that Bow is straight-lining this car around the circuit, and it's paying dividends.
Well, John Bow's very good at doing that, but you really need to around here in a big, heavy car like the Mustang. Use the curb, straight-line the corners as much as possible, and he's come right through and got that car into the lead. Fantastic debut.
Rob Alexander just ahead of Mark King, so King's done well to come back inside, pretty much top 12 at the moment. Bow's just set fastest lap, though, 1:05.6, the same as his qualifying pole position lap time. So again, King, Aitken down the inside in the HSV 300 kilowatt car.
You can hear the way that that car pops and bangs the Mitsubishi Lancer, just the way that the car is set up. Very contrasting sound to this, the awesome V8 of the Ford Mustang Cobra. Gee, it sounds fantastic, and Bow, they are going to be hard-pressed to beat him here.
Yeah, 4.6-litre quad cam V8. Probably not quite as much kilowatt as the Holden Commodore, but certainly they've got the cornering, braking capabilities around the same weight as the Commodore, so it's carrying a fair bit of weight.
Ed Aiken, winner at Bathurst in My Accessory HSV GDS, doing a good job.
Good to see young Dave Wood up there too in the Honda S2000 doing a fabulous job, the little yellow sports car.
Back aboard Mark King, chasing Alexander.
Well, that noise you can hear on board there, that popping in the corner when he comes off the accelerator, that's the anti-lag working on a turbo car like this. So it sounds terrible, but it's actually far quicker to run an anti-lag system on the turbos in those Lancer Evos.
Alexander is still ahead of the defending champion King. We caught a quick shot further up the road from these guys of Bob Pearson, who was spun around in that opening race. He's doing very well here at the moment in the second race of round 2 of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship.
Yeah, Pearson's had a great comeback, Rusty, considering the problems he had off the grid in race 1 today. In fact, he's inside the top 5 now in the Mazda RX-7.
Keep in mind, too, he suffered a major crash in testing his V8 supercar some time ago at Oran Park, so it's great to have him back and campaigning in motorsport once again. Kirkham here in all sorts of dramas.
Anton Metchler also has got problems with his Evo 5.
Now, he's not rejoining the circuit, so that is obviously terminal in some way. So rotten luck for Anton Metchler, who this season is making the step up from a Toyota MR2 to that Mitsubishi Lancer. We are on our way home. What a marvellous debut for all the team at Prancing Horse Racing and John Bow, and great to have the Ford Cobra back in action. And what a winning way to start its return to racing. John Bow on course for victory.
Absolutely, running Pirelli tyres, and you can tell Cameron McConville by the body language of the car, he's still giving it a fair old caning.
Well, I think he wants to get through this traffic because Brett Peters isn't that far away. Look, in fact, he's gained a lot of time there. Brett Peters, a very experienced driver, but Bowie's going to hang on for the win.
Nigel Barclay, Tony Raftis and all the crew from Prancing Horse Racing. There they are, lining the fence. The Budweiser Mustang takes it out in race 2. great effort by Peters. He took out race 1 and a second place in race 2.
Yeah, good performance too also from Phil Polides, who'll come through. In fact, that just about may well move him into the lead of the championship again. So good performance from Phil, considering he didn't qualify all that well. And a great comeback from Mark King from the back of the grid to finish 8th outright in the Delphi King Springs Evo 5.
It's been a big weekend also in Class B, and Wayne Russell, there he is on course to take it out. He did it in race 1 and he does it again in race 2. Good effort for the guy from Newcastle. Second position in this one going to Anthony Robson.
And a good result too for Tim Lay in the VW, coming through just ahead of Pilkington. But this is the race winner, John Bowe in the Mustang.
Yeah, what a weekend for John Bowe. He really enjoys driving and racing in the Century Batteries ranks. And as we mentioned, on debut, the car took pole position for this round and a race win. So a stunning performance, and the best is still yet to come from that car. Brett Peters home in second, Gary Dean in third, and Polides a good effort in fourth.
And first home in the sports touring class, of course, Wayne Russell in the BMW 323. Great result from him to take the win from Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2. Then Tim Lay, Pilkington, Alan Shepherd, Colin Osborne, Coleman, Sue Hughes, and Peter Boylan rounding out the rest of the field.
You're watching Trackside on your home of motorsport. We'll come back in just a few moments to talk to our race winner and some more Nations Cup action.
Plenty of action in rounds of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship at Wakefield Park this weekend. And a great win too for the new Ford Cobra Mustang RA. With John Bowe, here's Greg Rust.
What a nice start to the championship for you, a win in the second race of the day.
Well, obviously we had a misfire problem in the first race, and then, I mean, the car was just fantastic, except those soft tyres I mentioned earlier, they went away. So as I got to the front, the tyres were about whacked, so it's kind of worked out good. But it was a lot of fun. It's a great category to race in, and you've got to say the Mustang's back, isn't it?
It certainly is. An awesome result for you, mate, and for the team. Well done.
Thank you, mate. Those guys from Prancing Horse, they've done a fantastic job. They've worked 24 hours a day for about the last 3 months to get this car on the grid. So, I mean, it's really them. I'm just steering it. It's easy.
Cheers, John. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Wayne, you've got the trophy hardware and you've got the champagne to go as well. A great end of the day.
Mate, we've had a sensational weekend. My boys have just done a fantastic job keeping the car together. We had a couple of computer problems that we couldn't work out, and they just stuck out and got me back on the track. It's just been amazing. And we've had a good time back. I mean, we've been out of the saddle for 6 months, so it's good to come back.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, a great result for Holden and HSV. Phil Polides gone back to the championship lead. 38 points from Brett Peters on 30. Then Mark King on 28. And in the Manufacturers' Championship, Mitsubishi 148 from Holden on 144.
Lamborghini has been unstoppable so far today. Can anyone do anything about it in race 3 of the Megamantis.com Nations Cup? Stokel, not surprisingly, on pole alongside Mark Noski. Reigning champ Jim Richards alongside Peter Fitzgerald, who finished second in the last race.
Mike Downard, Mark Trenoweth, John Chulin in the Nissan Skyline four-wheel drive round out the field. Unfortunately, non-starters in this race, including Dominic Beninka after his crash in race 2.
Yeah, rotten luck for the TNC Porsche driver. Keep in mind, rolling starts in this one. And away we go. We've got a green flag, so Stokel will lead the field away. There was problems for one of the Porsches up the back of the field, and Cameron McConville to spice this race up even more. There's been a little bit of rain come down on the track in the last few minutes.
Certainly has. You can see that there was a little bit of spray even going into turn 1. Oh, and there goes the Jaguar. So we could see him warming up the tyres actually at the back of the field. A little bit concerned perhaps about how much heat there was in those tyres, and certainly wasn't enough.
Oh, and we've got another one going around. That's Stuart Gagg. So they're all having their moments on this opening lap. And Gagg has done it all on his own, and it looks like Trenoweth did exactly the same thing.
Well, it'd be very, very greasy at the moment. Not enough rain to be fully wet, but just greasy. But that should suit the Ferrari. It's a mid-engine car. It's quite a heavy car. So is the Lamborghini. But I'd have to say that the Ferrari should be a closer pace to the Lamborghini in these conditions.
I think the interesting thing about this race, guys, is what's going to happen with tyres. Let's have a look at the replay of Mark Trenoweth. And, yeah, the back just stepped out on the greasy conditions, and it really did absolutely nothing about it, Cam.
Well, he should be braking there, so perhaps to just grab the rears and lock the rear brakes. Around he went, so luckily no one ran into him. And let's have a look at the Gagg incident, and ran over the curb, got sideways off the rip strip, I'd say. and a harmless spin into the infield there. He should continue on.
He was trying to get down the inside of Quinn by the looks of things, and the car's come a cropper as he's gone over the ripple strips, but up in front, Stokel leading from Noski.
Absolutely, and of course tyres a critical factor. Who started on wets, who started on intermediates? The word from the pits is most of the front runners are all on wet weather tyres, Cam, and the conditions really, as we see them now, probably not quite wet enough.
No, so they will be looking for perhaps wet patches down the front straight once these... You can see it's wet certainly around this part of the circuit, but it may be drying down the front straight there, so they'll have to keep an eye on that, because when wet weather tyres go off, they're better off, obviously, starting perhaps on slicks and losing a bit of time early on in the race.
John Chilton, the distance skyline, four-wheel drive, so he's probably the man around here that should have the most amount of traction, although he gets the tail out as he goes onto the main straight. Jimmy Richards, though, the man they call the Rainmaster, fresh from his Targa Tasmania win in the OAM's Porsche. Now he's got around Stokel, so now Richards is our race leader from Stokel, then Noski, then Fitzgerald.
Wonder what's happened there. Stokel may have perhaps had a moment somewhere on the circuit, but Jimmy has cleared out. Let's have a look here, Cam.
Well, you can see the Lamborghini's starting to get a little bit sideways. Jimmy's certainly right up there. He goes to the outside, and I think he's going to outbrake him all the way around the outside here. No, he went through on the inside, so nice clean move by Jimmy Richards, but this track is certainly starting to dry a little.
Sammy Newman in the Black Stallion, Ranting Horse Ferrari, Scott Shearman just behind.
Oh, Sam Newman's in trouble, and he's gone around. That's at the very end of the front straight.
Stay out of that. Wrong way to go there, Sammy. Should have got reversed there. Just drove into the sand enough to probably bog the car. And this, I would imagine, could bring the safety car out because it's in a bad split turn one. He certainly got a bog. Just dropped the left rear off onto the dirt on turn in, and around he went.
Safety car board being shown, so the thrifty safety car back on track at the moment. So Jimmy Richards, Paul Stokel, Mark Noski. Let's have a look on the replay. Just drops that left-hand rear on the grass and just enough to turn him around.
Yeah, and you can see that he then didn't really get on the brakes enough as he went off the road. The best thing to do here probably would have been to have grabbed reverse because the rear tyres weren't in the sand until then. And all over for Sam Newman, unfortunately.
Now, this is interesting. Noski's taken the advantage of the safety car to come into the pits and change tyres. Gee, I tell you what, that's a big gamble in a sprint race. One would assume that he's probably opted for slick tyres.
Well, that could well be a very good decision because the safety car's pulling off now. He'll have to try and get around as quickly as he can. But if those guys are on wets and this track dries, Mark Noski will certainly be the pace.
Jim Richards in the OAM's Porsche leads the field away. We're under green conditions once again. From the Lamborghini, look at the way the Lamborghini gets sideways under brakes there.
Well, the wet weather tyres, I'd say, are getting squirmy or they're getting too hot. So the car will be very, very loose. And if it's loose under braking, then I'd say he's in real trouble trying to get the power down.
Mark Treadworth in the super cheap Jaguar car with John Chilton just behind him. And, of course, Mark Noski's given these guys pretty much a half a lap start. So in terms of a 15-lap sprint race, it's a fair call.
It certainly is, but you can never sort of underestimate what on a drying track a fairly fresh, slick tyre can do. And you can see there's pretty much a dry line there, Craig. So if Mark Noski can get some temperature into those slick tyres, which is the hardest thing on a damp track, he will certainly close in on that field very, very quickly.
And I guess it's all a question, too, of how much the tyres of the guys in front of him are degrading because Noski's on a better, fresher set. And look at that, Noski barges past Trenoweth. He is charging up through the field.
Up the front of the field, it's Stokel in the Lamborghini, Fitzgerald, Richards, of course, our race leader. Tony Quinn doing a great job too in car 43, the VIP Pet Foods Porsche.
Geez, Stokel really struggled there coming into that corner. You could see the way the car was moving all over the place under brakes, Cam.
Yes, it was, and very, very tightly. He's doing a good job to hang on to it and not to bunker this car, but it's moving around all over the place. So the wet weather tyres have certainly had a harder time on the Lamborghini than the Porsches because they're still holding a reasonable pace. But credit goes to Prancing Horse for pulling Mark Noski in. The question is, will he be able to catch them and get past them all in time?
Quinn now putting a lot of pressure on Stokel too. A man that's a very successful businessman in the VIP pet foods business, of course, samples his own pet food, so I guess that's why he likes to chase fast cars.
Sam Newman diving down the inside of Mark Trenoweth. In the Jaguar, you can hear the awesome sound of that supercharged 8-cylinder. This is what's going on up ahead of him because Noski, keep in mind, has already gotten past Trenoweth and he is charging out. Look, Quinn is now in front of him, so this is an inspired drive from Mark Noski in the Budweiser Ferrari. There's Quinn ahead of him. And then it's the Lamborghini of race 1 and race 2 winner Paul Stokel. So this is an incredible charge.
Look at Noski now, right up the tail of Stokel. And really, when you look at the lap times, guys, it says it all. Noski 102.5, Stokel 108.1.
There you go, 6 seconds, and doesn't take long to bring in the field at that different pace. Whoa, Stokel trying to get the power down. The car's walking all over the place. Mark Noski's just got to be careful when he goes offline to pass these cars on slicks, because it is still damp off the racing line. So that's really the only thing he has to watch. I'd say he's looking really good.
The dominance of Stokel earlier today, 2 race wins this weekend, Cam. Clearly the wet weather package for this car is nowhere near as good as a Porsche Ferrari.
No, and really this is the first opportunity, except for Adelaide, they've had to run in the wet. But look, perhaps the wets that he chose to run were quite worn and old in the first place. And with this temperature, look at that. Noski on the grass, but goes right around Peter Fitzgerald. So this car is absolutely flying now. Fitzy can't do anything about it, and Noski doing it very comfortably.
Noski is right on it, isn't he? You saw the way that he even ventured off that dry line on the wet circuit, and the car's moving around dramatically. So this is not over yet. Jim Richards leads the way in this one. This was how second place was resolved. Look at that.
Just put the wheel up on the curb. Still had 2 wheels on the dry section, I suppose. And Fitzy did run wide. There was a hole in Mark Noski's got a bit between his teeth. There's no doubt about that.
He certainly has. Look at him. There's Jim Richards. This is now the battle for the lead into turn 1. And this should be the final time too. Last lap board has been shown to these guys. Noski carrying a lot more car speed. Can Richards and the Porsche hang on to it? No, Noski has dived down the inside there. He got a good run off the final turn. Jimmy is squeezing the maximum out of the Porsche, trying to hang on to it. Not enough. It's not enough.
Great move by Mark Noski right around the outside, and Jimmy certainly gave it right up to me. They both went in deep. Mark Noski had a little bit more grip. You can see Jim slid wide there, and Noski's going to pull it off. That was a race that is going to be won by that fantastic strategy by pulling him in for a pit stop, the only car that did it.
Well, no doubt about it. Nigel Barclay and the team took a big gamble in doing that, but it certainly paid the dividends. Mark Noski been very aggressive all weekend, so hungry for a race win in this year's championship. So good to see that it's actually come his way in race 3.
What a tremendous weekend it's been for the Prancing Horse outfit. We saw John Bowe taking a victory in the Mustang earlier today. Mark Noski bounces back. It was the Lamborghini in races 1 and 2, but the Prancing Horse outfit celebrate victory in the 3rd one today here at Wakefield Park.
Yeah, great result. And of course, Jimmy Richards, ever the reign master and ever so consistent in the championship, coming through to finish 2nd. And that will keep him 2nd in the points tally. I think you'll find Paul Stokel will probably still lead the championship after this weekend. And Peter Fitzgerald in the Falcon Tyres Porsche coming through. He'll claim 3rd outright. And what a great drive too from Tony Quinn. 2nd to Jimmy Richards in Targa recently and 4th here today.
See Stokel just getting across the line there, or heading down towards the line in the background. So it was a tough finish in that Lamborghini in the end, not quite suited to the wet conditions which have unveiled in the final race of the day here. Mark Noski, sensational performance for the 25-year-old in the Budweiser Ferrari. And that result will no doubt help him in terms of the Maguire's Drivers' Championship. Mark Noski, a race winner from Jim Richards and Peter Fitzgerald. So a strong end to the weekend for the Porsche outfit. Tony Quinn getting home there in 4th position. Stuart Gagg in 5th. And Paul Stokel hanging on, clinging on, in fact, to 6th position in the Lamborghini Diablo. Let's go trackside and have a word to our race winner. Brenton Ramsey is with Mark Noski.
Yeah, that was certainly exciting. We were sort of toing and froing whether to go for a wet or a dry, and we didn't have an intermediate. So we sort of went for a gamble and got the wet. And I probably called the pace car a lap. Like as soon as I saw the pace car come out, I should have told the boys to come in. So the wets were just going away, and I thought it was worth a gamble because we were either going to fall back into the pack. So I thought it's worth a gamble to go for the slicks, and boy, did that pay off.
You must have thought though that when the safety car came in that maybe you were just a little bit too far behind at that stage.
Yeah, when I first went out on the slicks, it was obviously with no temperature, and I thought, oh, geez, I don't know whether this is a good decision or not. And the guy said that it's going to go green this lap, and I looked over, and they were about half a track in front. And I mean, I couldn't believe how much I caught them, and it's just amazing. This is awesome. Best win of my life.
Race winner number 3, Mark Noski. Congratulations, well done.
Thanks very much.
Well, in terms of the Maguire's Drivers' Championship point score, he now sits 4th, Mark Noski, on 166 points. Peter Fitzgerald is 3rd, but it's Stokel who is leading the way by 12 points over Jimmy Richards.
Well, there you have it, from Ferraris to Falcons to Formula Holden. We hope you enjoyed your motorsport feast right here on Trackside this afternoon. But don't despair, it's not all over. Join us next Sunday at 2:30 where we'll bring you round 4 of the Konica V8 Supercar Series from Phillip Island. Will it be as dramatic as last year's action-packed 3 races? Straight after Trackside, we'll open the floor to those crazy guys, the V8 Supercar drivers, for their lowdown on the state of play of V8 Supercar racing right now. Now, that will also preview the big one, the GMC 400 from around the streets of Canberra. Now, the top 15 shootout and race 1 will go to air on Saturday. And on Sunday, race 2, that's the total reverse grid, plus race 3 will go to air right here on your home of motorsport, Network 10. And that just about wraps up Trackside for this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed the show. From the team and myself, I'm Grant Denyer. We'll see you next time.